What is the best AI tool you can use for government contracting? I've got free versions of ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and Grok. I generate a prompt. The AI is going to read through that and evaluate. No matter what you do, it should be a good test case. You're going to decide, really. I'm not going to say one's better or worse. I'd love to hear what you have to say. What is the best AI tool you can use for government contracting? That's what we're going to try to figure out here today. So I've got free versions of ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and Grok all open on my computer right now. And what we're going to do today is I'm going to download an RFQ from Sam. I just looked up just the first one that I found when I typed in drone. Drones are interesting. Drones are fun. Let's see what kind of projects there are around drones. No matter what you do, it should be a good test case. I generated a prompt and it is basically going to be, asking to upload the RFQ. The AI is going to read through that and evaluate. And then the prompt is also going to take in information about a company. I'm just using a random customer of mine who I really like, and that company's information is going to be kind of cross-examined against that RFQ to see, are they a good fit, and then go a couple steps further. And we're going to be able to just basically look at all of the different outputs from those 4 AI tools, and you're going to decide, really. I'm not going to say one's better or worse. You can watch this video and basically see how they all compare to each other and see for you which one is going to be the best one. So if you have any comments, if I missed an AI tool that's your favorite, or you think that one worked better than the others, go ahead and just drop a comment below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. If there's anything I missed and you want to see more videos covering something else, drop that in the comments as well. And don't forget to like and subscribe.
So here we go. I didn't type everything in front of you and all that so that you wouldn't have to sit here on this YouTube video and just watch a bunch of AI tools thinking for a long time. So here you will actually see the prompt that I came up with. I pre-filled it with a couple of scraps of information from my customer websites, a link to their catalog file and their GSA page, but I did leave some of these blank. So the data uploaded could be better. And then I just kind of had, decomposition of the RFQ, capability alignment analysis, strategic fit check, fit determination, strong, conditional, poor, and the final recommendation. And yeah, that's about it. So this is purely just a go, no go tool, but it gives a lot of information behind the decision. So I'm actually going to do this twice. The first one that I found is for a Coast Guard RFQ, and the information that was, uploaded, it pulled a lot of details. I could read down all of this if I want. NAICS code, OEM, it kind of mentions and some stuff about OEM. All right. Now it just keeps going and going. I'm going to go over to this. So number 2, capability match summary. It gave a rundown from the RFQ of the requirements in the match assessment. No match, no match, no evidence. So not looking good so far as a match, but that's good to know. The result is right here. I think we're going to see a lot of the same results as we go down. Deal killer gaps. So that's important. There are scenarios where an RFQ has buried deep in it something that's a deal killer, and everything else looks just very, very rosy and nice. And just using AI to quickly locate a deal killer can save you a lot of time. You could be halfway through a proposal before you come across that deal killer, and then you realize that you just wasted hours and hours that could have been pointed towards writing a proposal that had a chance of winning. The strategic assessment goes into even more detail. I'm not going to read through it all. Final verdict is it's a poor fit, do not pursue. And here's why. RFQ for OEM authorized machine or marine equipment overhaul. Birdseye is a UAS service provider. I'm not sure why this project showed up for drones. Maybe there would have been a better project, but this gives you a rundown of kind of how AI can help. So this was for the ChatGPT. I do have a paid version here, but I'm fairly certain all this would have been the same because this is a pretty straightforward rundown. I would actually recommend you pick one of these or 2 of these and get the paid version. Paid versions of AI are way better. But now let's go over to Gemini. So this nice black screen, we see the snapshot here. Here's a lot of the information, a lot of the same, so you could see it grab the NAICS code, the end user and the agency, all that stuff. The match summary is right here. Here's what the company does, out of scope requirement. So there's a NAICS code conflict, gaps and risks. There's a technical risk that's very high, another compliance risk that's high, and a performance risk. So that's kind of nice that it gives a rundown of 3 very, very real risks. The final verdict is poor fit, do not pursue. Same thing. And then it gives all the different justifications and says, recommendation is a no-go. Looks about the same. I would say all in all, Gemini and ChatGPT had the same ultimate decision. They went about it in a little bit different way. So one thing to look at as we're going through all of these is just how the AI tool, kind of deploys or outputs information. Do you like one over the other? ChatGPT is a little bit more wordy, a little bit more detailed. Gemini is a little bit more kind of plain English, but a little bit more condensed, I would say. Let's go on to Claude now. So Claude, and I don't know a lot about Claude. I've only used it a few times. So cool font and all that stuff. It kind of is like an old school printing press looking thing, Times New Roman. But yeah, agency, set aside, NAICS code, a lot of the same stuff at the very top. Now let's go down to the capability match summary. 0 alignment, it says. Capabilities of the drone company are here. RFQ requirements are here. Here is a gap analysis. Gap severity, critically severe on all of the things that are in the RFQ, and the company capability is just not there. So not a good fit according to Claude, which is what we've heard before. It gives a deal killer gaps and risks right here. So kind of gives it a rundown of kind of what is going on, why it's a deal killer gap. It's an absolute disqualifier. And yeah, it gives 4 of them, and it gives some bullet points underneath on why. Goes into compliance risks. The strategic assessment is basically cannot bid without OEM authorization. So that is, basically it's saying not applicable. Goes into some other things like competitive positioning, market intelligence value, long-term value. So good stuff there to read through. Obviously, if this was a better match, you'd be, much more interested in reading all of this. But I think it came to the same conclusion: poor fit, do not pursue, immediate action, pass on this opportunity. This is a no-go. This is kind of unique to Claude. Lessons learned for BD process. Screen the NAICS codes earlier, flag OEM authorization language, watch for specialized repair requirements. So this is actually something that the other AI tools didn't give. At least I didn't see them. It's actually telling you improve your process by, killing a deal before you even come to AI by, here's 3 easy ways to do that. Very interesting. Alternative opportunities. So here are, it gives even more recommendations on, okay, if you want to go after some other US Coast Guard opportunities, here's kind of what you could do there. Here are some good NAICS codes for what you do. So yeah, the analysis complete. 100% confidence level. So you're telling me that if this company went after this, there is a 100% chance that they would not be awarded. That's confidence. So moving on, here's Grok. And I will tell you, I like Grok personally. I am a little hesitant to see how it'll work in this setting. I think it's a good personal tool, but I wanted to give it a chance because it is up and coming in a lot of ways. Using the free version, it didn't give me an answer. First thing it told me was, hey, I'm busy right now. I'm impacted, or something to that effect. So I had to log into my X account just to get it to work. But it did work. So let's look at what it came up with. A lot of the same stuff about the agency, set aside, scope. Gives a quick rundown. I don't see NAICS code in here anywhere, which is interesting. No, I don't see it. So that one isn't in there. Capability match. Companies and aerial drone service, government focus. There's no alignment, it says, with mechanical repair overhaul of marine propulsion components, valves, blah, blah, blah. Gaps and risks. So here are the deal killers. No expertise, no access to the proprietary OEM data or whatnot. Compliance risk, technical performance risk. So it goes even into some other areas there. Low revenue potential, very high risk, competitive positioning, long-term value, none. Do not pursue, it says. So we have a unanimous decision not to pursue this RFQ, even though it was the top result when I ran a search for the word drone. Not an opportunity that this drone company should pursue. No-go decision. I like how it put it. Walk away immediately. RFQ due date has passed. That's another one. I didn't see that in the others, so it caught that the RFQ due date had passed. So, credit to Grok for finding that. That's important. The due date is one of the most important variables in this. Is it passed? Do you have the time to pull the proposal together at all? So yeah, all in all, I think there's a preference that comes into play here, and whichever one of these your eyes and kind of mind, your brain kind of gravitated towards, the way that it outputted the data is probably going to be one that you work with the best because they all work really well as AI. They all had some kind of things that it caught that others didn't. All in all, I think it's kind of reading through all of these, and you may want to go through this whole process yourself when selecting the right one. You might even find that playing two against each other can make for an even smarter evaluation. So I didn't want to just do one though, especially because it wasn't a good fit. So I actually found another option, it's not actually an RFQ. What is it? It's a GWAC, I believe. No, it's a BPA. So there's a BPA for unmanned aircraft systems, drones, and it just has some basic information. So I just copied this and put it into a Word document, and I'm just going to do the same thing with all of these. I'm going to say, how about this BPA, question mark. So the question here is, how conversationally is this going to go with each of these? And I have the BPA here. I'm going to drag that in there. I'm going to hit go. While it's thinking, I'm going to actually just do this across the board and test them all out, because why not? Let's see how continuing this conversation and kind of taking it in a different direction, because this has a lot to do with the same company, right? But it's actually relating to an entirely different opportunity. So as Grok is finishing up here, I'm going to go right back to the top, and we're going to see how ChatGPT did. So in this BPA snapshot, planned BPA, this notice is not an RFQ. It's an industry day for market research and shaping requirements. Scope of the BPA, so it gives a rundown of the scope. NAICS code looks good.
So we have capabilities match summary, directories capabilities matches. Check marks are usually in ChatGPT, I find, to be a positive thing. Like they use check marks when something is for real, for sure. But it also has these little hazards here, like sustainment. You can see that hard requirements check is in here. Unknown, unproven, misaligned. That's give you some uncertainty around this BPA. But it gives you an answer, and that's helpful. I see we have some potential deal killers that aren't resolved, like being an authorized distributor, OEM, manufacturer, and now here's manageable risks. Moving down, we're going to keep going. Recommended next steps. This one's a go. There were some risks that it mentioned, but they must think that they're manageable. And it says it's good to go to the industry day. Confirm internally. It gives immediate actions. If yes, then no. So some homework there. Basically, if you go to the industry day, do some of this stuff. And then there's the bottom line that says, unlike that Coast Guard RFQ, this BPA actually aligns squarely with Bird Eye's domain. It's not a guarantee, of course, but worth engaging. Pretty helpful. Now here's Gemini. What did they come up with? Fort Drum was mentioned, so it mentioned where it is. That's an important detail. Scrolling down. Okay, scope of work rundown, technical expertise, mandatory qualifications. Okay, out of scope requirements. High potential is what it says with a low risk level. Competitive positioning is strong. That's a good thing. Long-term value is high. So Gemini is liking this. Strong fit. Pursue aggressively. Pursue aggressively sounds good. That's the strongest one I've ever heard AI say. It then goes into the justification, like the core competency, and gives a recommendation. Of course, it says go, and then gives some next actions. So a lot of good intel here. And ChatGPT and Gemini so far have been really, really similar. Claude is going to give an RFQ snapshot here. Basically, it also says where the industry day is in Fort Drum, gives the procurement types, the vehicle, set aside, NAICS codes, core requirements. It gives 5 of them, so that's a rundown of what this is BPA is all about. 5 points, and they're all very short sentences, which I like. Timeline is interesting. Claude, I think, is very straight and to the point. It's not wordy, it's simple, it matches my brain in the way that I think. So I like the way that it presents. I like the way it organizes. I'm interested if any of you think that Claude is the best one. Drop in the comments what you think, because I'd love to hear what everybody says. So there is some mismatching. It looks like there's a red X, potential disqualifier. So it does kind of go into some of the potential issues. Now, look at this capabilities assessment by requirement. One of the things I love about AI is that it puts everything into tables whenever it can. It's pretty smart when it comes to presentation. And you can see it gives itemized, weak, strong kind of rundowns based on the capability assessment. So you can kind of look into it and see if you can overcome them. Oh, okay. So Claude gave a clear list of the manufacturers that were listed in the BPA. There's a NAICS code mismatch. I know I was tooting its horn earlier, but it did go really long. This is nuts. I mean, sometimes this is really helpful. I would put something in the prompt, honestly, to limit the word count. But the output now, Claude was conservative. It didn't see this as strong of a pursuit, whereas ChatGPT and Gemini both had this as a pretty strong go. ChatGPT was maybe a little conservative. Gemini was aggressive as a go, said pursue aggressively. Claude was basically saying, meh, I don't know about this one. Could be good. It could be that Claude is kind of next level and kind of like, this is a BPA, this is an industry days. You want money, you want to win a contract. This could lead to that, but this is a step before what you're even wanting to get to, which is a starting line to take you towards winning a contract. In my opinion, this was way too long, like 3,000 or 4,000 words. Just too many words. I don't want to deal with this many words. I want things short and sweet. Now, let's go to Grok. Right there at the top, RFQ snapshot. It's giving the agency, it's giving the customer, okay, decent rundown at the top, but it was really basic. It wasn't as solid as the others. Capabilities match summary. Okay, so I think it's showing some of the matches. Now it's going into some of the maybe mismatches, where are the gaps, where are the risks. And it even gives some kind of categorization here, hard gaps, adjacent gaps, and risks. So that's interesting. Strategic assessment, so revenue versus effort. I think that's kind of what Claude was getting at. There's a lot of effort that goes into a BPA just to get to the starting line, and you haven't gotten any awards or dollars yet. Competitive positioning, long-term value. Final verdict is a no-go. That's interesting. It says it's a poor fit, and it says no-go. So we are looking at, okay, so I think it kind of said that distributor authorization and that list of those 5 manufacturers was kind of a sin that can't be forgiven on this BPA, and it's not worth pursuing. Now, the word count on Grok was like maybe 750 words. That's a sweet spot for me. I like how concise this is. Now, the answer was different on all of them. Grok is kind of the opposite of Claude. ChatGPT and Gemini are in the middle in the word count. As far as the content goes, they were all over the place, which is interesting. So it kind of comes down to, what are you looking for? Do you want short and sweet like Grok? Do you like a long, drawn out Claude rundown that gives you a ton of details, or the Goldilocks zone, which is kind of where Gemini and ChatGPT were? I would suggest that you actually do what I just did and test out each of these and see what is the best fit for you. What is the AI tool that's actually giving you the output that's as close to what you would have come up with yourself? From here, I would say just give some feedback in the comments. I want to hear what everybody thinks about this, because when you're comparing different AI tools, then, there's a lot of, people, we've all been using AI for a while now. I'm thinking a lot of you have. So I'm interested to see what everybody thinks about all of this and how everything compares. Are you using something right now and you're actually thinking of switching it up now that you've seen this? But yeah, like and subscribe. I'll be putting out some more AI videos after this. And also down in the description, you will find a link to download the prompt that was used here. along with a lot of other prompts. It's a whole library and it's actually growing over time. So it's going to be a massive game changer for small businesses looking to leverage AI to win more government contracts.
Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Around my head, you're going to see a couple options that YouTube thinks that you're going to like. And also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks.